Now, one question we want to ask is, okay, maybe there is a distinction between passive and active euthanasia, but is there any difference in their moral status? Is one better than the other? Here's a thought experiment. Suppose you're walking alongside a river and you push a little girl in and she drowns. That seems quite morally reprehensible, right? You push the little girl in and she drowned. Or let's say there's a different action that you can commit. You walk alongside the river and you observe a little girl drowning. So she's already in the river and she's drowning. Now, you decide not to attempt to save her and she drowns. In the first case, you seem to be directly killing someone. In the second case, you seem to be letting them die. Which one of these is worse? I'm going to do a quick poll. I want to see what you guys think. So if you're on Zoom, then let me know. All right, 10 more seconds. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. I've just shared the results. Have a look. Most of us think that action 2 is morally better. That is, the letting die is better. And if you were to do this poll anywhere else in the world or any other time, then we would actually get the same result or a similar looking result. That is, most people do think that action 2 is morally better, at least in this case. There are quite a few that think they're morally on a par. Good, because that's really what we're going to talk about now. Almost no one thinks that action 1 is better. They usually think action 2 is better, or they're the same. So hopefully you've read the Nesbitt paper, and he talks extensively about this. So Nesbitt, Winston Nesbitt, that is, he entertains a thesis which he calls the difference thesis. The difference thesis says it is morally worse to kill than let die. So action 1 is worse than action 2. On the other hand, people like James Rachels, whom we've already read, at least one of his papers, and indeed we'll read the relevant paper by Rachels on letting die versus killing for next lecture. Him and Tooley, I think it's James Tooley, I'm not sure, argues that the difference thesis is actually false. They not only argue that the thesis is false, they think that they're morally on a par. That is, killing and letting die. What Nesbitt is doing in this paper is advancing, firstly, a negative argument. What I mean by negative argument is he himself is positing an argument leveled against Rachel's argument, which happens to deny the thesis. Okay, let me explain that again. So there are really just two negatives here, okay? There's argues against, that's one negative, and then the second is denies the difference thesis. So there are certain arguments propelled by Rachels and Tooley that argue against the difference thesis. What Nesbitt is doing is arguing against Rachels and Tooley's argument. So in other words, he's defending the difference thesis. But of course, Nesbitt then advances an argument, a positive one, for the difference thesis. So he thinks that arguments that go against the difference thesis are false. And secondly, by way of an example, he says that the difference thesis is actually true.